expectant mothers should not ride. Once on board your safari transport, please remain seated with your hands, arms, feet and legs inside.
Good morning, everyone. Also, hold on to those devices or anything else that may be in our hands nice and tightly so nothing falls out of the truck, because it may get bumpy. Probably not going to be stopping, except for those animal spots. Alright, we got the signal to head into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, so we're going to head in. Now, like most forests, this will have thick vegetation that the animals may try and use to camouflage themselves. So let's try and keep our eyes peeled, not miss any creatures today. Ooh, looks like there's a couple little copies in the distance to our right. The copies are related to giraffes, because they both have prehensile tongues. Prehensile means they can grab things like fingers. If it's their tongue, they're going to probably grab food. Look over to the hilltop to our left. You can see some greater kudus right at the top, the ones without the antlers. There are two types of antelopes over here. The ones with the antlers are called bongos, which are the largest of the forest antelopes, nicknamed the ghosts of the forest because of how rare they're actually seen. Now those greater kudus, the ones with the lighter brown fur with the white streaks on the side of their body, they're streaked with sunlight. So if they were to lay down in tall grass and the sun was shining through, it would reflect off of them, making them actually appear to be invisible, which is a great defense against any predators that could be lurking around. Y'all saw those ducks? Do you know they're related to dinosaurs? Yeah. I didn't know dinosaurs had webbed feet though. Now, let's see what's going on up here. Seems a little quiet on this end of the forest already. Mr. Black Rhino over there knows what's up. They're taking a nap. Left. Now they have a narrow-shaped mouth, if you can tell, because they actually have a prehensile upper lip that can grab their food like fingers. Now black rhinos weigh about 3,000 pounds when they're fully grown. Now at the edge of the forest is a river we're about to be at. That river is called the Zafi River, which is home to animals that thrive in aquatic ecosystems. Kind of like hippopotamus. By show of hands, anybody ever seen a hippo in real life?
Only at Christmas.
Oh yeah? I feel like it's a little cold around Christmas, but...
No, I haven't.
Now if we're lucky, maybe we'll see some today. Ooh, looks like there's a couple of hippos in the water down to our right as we're approaching the river. If you can't see them too well, don't worry, we may see some more up ahead. Now, they are the most dangerous creatures in the reserve. They don't eat meat, though. They're herbivores. They're dangerous because of how territorial they are. Yeah, so just make sure you know where you're at if you're walking by a hippo habitat. Now, they stay in the water like we were seeing when we were coming into the river most of the day because they don't actually have sweat glands of their own. So that's how they keep their bodies nice and cool. And it looks like there's a bloat of hippos just past these pelicans on our left, which are called pink-back pelicans. They get pink feathers on their back only during mating season. It looks like they do have pink feathers on their back if you look under their wings. Now, the bloat of hippos over there, bloat is what you would call a group. They have a symbiotic relationship with a bird that's not actually out here right now. But if there was any vultures in the area, they would leave them alone because vultures like to eat the dry skin off their back. And they enjoy it. The hippos. It's like, you know, scratching. Now, those pink-backed pelicans, it was closer to about the 20 count of them, but they are colonial nesters that nest in groups anywhere from 20 to 500. When they have eggs after the mating season, they incubate their eggs for about 30 days. Now it looks like there's some crocodiles over there to our left. To tell them apart from an alligator, even when their chompers are closed, they have visible teeth on the outside of their mouth and pointy ears. There's one in the water below the bridge as well, also on our left. Now these crocodiles are native to the Nile River. So the Nile crocodiles are actually the largest crocodilian species in all of Africa. They weigh about 500 pounds when they're fully grown and reach a length of 16 feet long. Now they can eat half of their body weight in one meal sitting. But that much food is only going to last them a week before they need to search for more. The key word there is need. But they do have a gentle side. They'll put their eggs in their mouth to roll them back and forth across their tongues gently to help nurture them before they hatch. Females and males team up to do this. Now if I had to see a thick trunk tree, it has no leaves on it, so you know which one we're looking at. It'll be on our right in a moment. It's called a baobab tree. Baobab trees like that stay leafless 9 months out of the year to conserve water. They can hold about 10,000 gallons of water in their trunks, and if an animal wandering by has any horns on their head, maybe an elephant with them tusks, they can poke holes in the water. Not in the water, in the trunk, so they can drink the water. Which would give that tree the nickname Tree of Life. Now this area up ahead is a savanna where the most recognizable creatures you might find are giraffes, maybe even zebras. But did you know savannas are usually only found in tropical climates around the world? I mean, you might find a desert and rainforest depending on where you're at in a tropical climate as well, but unlike those two terrains, savannas are balanced with dry seasons and the rain seasons. It looks like there are some giraffes wandering around the area, and I do see a great furred creature. It looks like a wildebeest wandering around as well.
Look it over there.
Do you know wildebeests are the most densely populated mammals, second to human beings?
Okay.
They migrate about 500 to 1,000 miles during the end of migration season as well.
On your side.
Now, do you know wildebeests run blind? They're not blind at all. They just don't look where they're going when they're running, like in a stampede.
Like you.
Sounds familiar. Now, it looks like there's some zebras in the area, but the two that are going to be down to our right, the smaller one that's by the log laying on the ground, is a foal, which is what you call a baby zebra. It's spelled F-O-A-L.
A baby zebra.
Over here on our right, by that fallen down tree.
That's a baby
Or
zebra.
branch, thick branch, whatever you want to call it.
Right there.
Now these are Hartman mountain zebras that I see. They have thick stripes on their back legs for females. But during the end of migration season, which they migrate about 300 miles when they migrate, they can form a large herd during that season called a dazzle of zebras.
Hey, look at me.
Now, looking at these zebras right here, do you see the black part where their mouth is? That muzzle? Do you see coming up from their nose how the darker stripe is already next to it? That's the base color of their fur, indicating the stripes are white. That's how we can tell. I wanted to point that out so you guys can see it. Because they were pretty close for us to see that pretty good. Now, if you're looking close at this giraffe over here, in those spots, if you see any markings set in those spots, it would indicate that's a Mosi giraffe. Hence why some of those spots are darker than others. They might have more marks and whatnot. See that small light patterned one by the tree? That's a baby calf. Now giraffes stand 18 to 20 feet tall when they're fully grown, but newborn giraffes can be as tall as 6 feet. And it looks like there's some African wild dogs on our left by a tree.
Oh, they're straight back.
The African wild dogs are nicknamed painted dogs due to the painted spot patterns they have. And when we get past this boulder, you might be able to see them a little better.
They all running.
They can use the pattern on their fur to tell each other apart, even from a great distance. Now, it looks like there's another Hartman zebra up ahead on our left. It looks like there's some wildebeest past them in the area as well. But if you look all the way in the distance, those reddish-furred horned creatures are a type of antelope called sable antelopes, which are the official emblem of the safari. They're very brave, tending to fight predators off with those horns. They get a lot of practice sparring each other with them. But they'll use those ways of courtship amongst their herd as well. Now, it looks like there's the wildebeest over here that I was mentioning on our left. Do you know wildebeest, zebras, and giraffes have something in common? They can all stand on their legs very early in life and even use them. Giraffes can do that up in the first hour of their life. They got pretty long legs. Zebras only take 25 minutes, and wildebeest they only take about 15 minutes to do that. We are passing some termite mounds, by the way, like this very large one on our left. Now, as this giraffe is coming by, you can see those dirty or dark marks in the pattern, as I was mentioning, that indicate that's a Mosi giraffe. Now, do you know giraffes only sleep 30 minutes at a time? Usually standing up or sitting down on 2 legs. Now, it's very rare to find a giraffe laying down on all 4. Looks like some of them are having fun over there on our left. It's rare to see them on all 4 because it makes it hard for them to get back up, so they're vulnerable to a predator attack.
Look at the baby giraffe.
Yeah. Another angle for baby calf giraffe over there. They're not even 6 months old yet. If I remember correctly.
Oh, I'm gonna put it on his head.
Now the spots or patterns all over the giraffe's body are just as unique to them as fingerprints are to us. It looks like there's some more wildebeest over to our right.
I pictured the head. I pictured the.
at all the wildebeest.
Oh yeah, every animal that we're seeing in the savannah are their native habitats are in savannah terrains. Sorry? You said water what? Water bucks?
Water source of some sort.
Oh yeah. They're they're congregated water holes because they gotta hydrate them. They're asking about an animal with a name of water in it.
No.
There is such thing as a water buck, by the way. They love to drink water. Hence the name.
Look at all the antelopes.
Now, do y'all see those antelopes over on the hilltop to our right? They got a little s'mores color on their fur. Now, they're one of the smallest antelopes we'll see, but they're called springbok. And I'll let their size fool you, though. They're very fast. Almost as fast as a cheetah. They run between 50 and 60 miles an hour as a top speed, putting them on the top 10 list of fastest land animals in the world. They get the spring part of their name from repeatedly jumping up in the air, making a springy motion, usually 6 feet high at a time. But that's usually only going to happen when they're startled. Sometimes they'll flex to predators by doing that. Now, these savannas are usually teeming with life, but are very fragile ecosystems. One factor being removed could cause it to collapse. Like all the rain, if no more rain season happened, it could turn into a desert, becoming barren. Now, a large herd of giraffes is called a tower. And I mention that because I did see the feet of a creature up ahead where a herd of them would also be called a tower. And they're to our right called an elephant. Now that's an African elephant over there, and we can tell because of the size of their ears. They have the largest ears of the species. Now if you look to our left, you can see a mandrill over there. There might be a couple in the area. That's a male mandrill walking away from the bush behind the tree.
Hey, looky there.
We can tell because they have a blue-red color on their face. The females would have an almost black color on their face, and they're a lot smaller than the males. They weigh 70 pounds less than the males when fully grown. The males weigh about 100 pounds when they become fully grown, and females about 30 pounds, being the largest monkeys in the world. Now on our right, over across from that row close, we might be able to catch that elephant again. Now, did you know elephants and mandrills, as well as some other monkey species around the world, face habitat loss due to the mining of a metallic ore known as coltan? Coltan can be found in smart devices like those phones you guys might have if you have any iPhones or Androids. Keeps them small and powerful. But if we're recycling those devices, like when we go for that next upgrade and it's now the old phone, not the new one anymore, we can recycle them and reuse the ore. There's the elephant again on our right. We can reuse those ores out of those smart devices once they're recycled. They'll make it so we don't need the mines as often, or need to mine for it as often. So those habitats stay protected even longer. But due to some of that habitat loss elephants face, they've encroached on farmlands nearby, destroying crops.
We went over a bridge.
Researchers discovered that they're terrified of bees. They hear that buzzing sound, they'll turn tail and run. So they teamed up together to build beehive fences around the perimeter of their farmlands to help deter those elephants safely without harming them, to find a safer habitat. Now it looks like in the red clay deposits on our right, there's some tusk scrapes, which indicates there's some elephants in the area, like on our left.
Hey, look.
Now, that was a win for the elephants, being able to find a safer habitat of farmland with the humans. But also a win for them, because they were able to sell the honey for profit that the bees made while their crops are growing back. That's an example of the efforts taken by conservation teams on a regular basis. Make sure there's a balance in the animal kingdom and on the human side. By that falling down log, that is a baby elephant, probably only a few years old. Because it takes about 15 years for an elephant when they are born to become a full-grown adult. Now, did you know male elephants get pushed out of the herd when they reach adulthood to live that solitary life? But sometimes they're found in a loose herd of only males. But the large herds, usually adult females and children. Now, if they want to protect their skin from the sun, they may throw dirt, sand, mud, hay, stuff like that all over their bodies, which is called a dust bath. Give them a natural coating like a sunscreen. You can see those two elephants, one of them being the baby over to our left by the baobab tree. And just up ahead, it looks like there's some greater flamingos. Now, you wouldn't call them a flock. You'd call them a flamboyant of greater flamingos, because there's a group of them. Now, greater flamingos are the tallest and lightest shade color flamingos of the species. And do you notice there's some gray feathered ones? Those are baby chicks. When a flamingo hatches out of their eggs, they'll have gray feathers, and it takes 24 months after hatching for them to get the pink pigment in their feathers like the adults. What'd you say? Now, they have that lighter shade of pink in their feathers from eating tiny brine shrimp, an element they absorb from it because of that light pigment.
Look at the.
Now, did you know there's a flamboyant of lesser flamingos in the front of the park over by the home tree? They're located in the oasis. They're smaller and more vibrantly pink, and it looks like there's another elephant to our left before the terrain blocks them. Now it looks like there's a mud wallow in the area. You can see that giant mud pit over there. Mud pit, mud baths, mud puddles. Those are all kinds of things you'll find in a mud wallow. Some creatures will roll around in it to cool their bodies off or alleviate insect bites. And if they don't have a trunk like an elephant and they're lacking fur, they may roll around in it to coat their skin to protect against the sun, like using it like a natural sunscreen. Otherwise, like I was mentioning, mud's one of the things that elephants will use to throw all over their bodies. Let's see if there's anything in the trees, because, you know, creatures can wander anywhere. Did you know that black rhino that we saw earlier was covered in mud? It was like a reddish mud, but they were covered in it because, you know, sun does shine through in the interior forest. Y'all see that cheetah in the back?
Yep, back there.
Over to our left, wandering around?
Straight back.
There's another one that just came down. Now, cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world, running 60 miles an hour. To stay balanced at those fast speeds, they do not retract their claws. They'll keep them out to grip the ground like football players with their cleats. Those black marks on their face that look like tear marks reflect the glare of the sun, allowing them to see well in the daytime. A daytime hunter like a cheetah would be called diurnal, whereas a nighttime hunter would be called nocturnal. Cheetahs are only built for speed and not power, so rhinos could easily scare them off because they're more powerful. And they don't have any natural predators in the wild, the rhinos.
We're gonna get ready.
More powerful predators are usually nocturnal, and a savanna could easily scare them off too if they happen to come across each other. Now this rock formation on our left is known as a Kopi rock formation. It forms a high vantage point that creatures may use to check the frame around the surrounding area, maybe like a predator looking for its snack. Like a lion. Now that male lion over there, if you spotted him, his mane can weigh about 40 pounds, which is a great defense for him. But it makes it hard for him to hunt. So the females, like those two that are hanging out by the male, will do all the hunting. Males will protect the pride, keeping cubs in higher rocks, remaining unseen. Now there looks like there's a bontebok over to our right, which is related to wildebeest, but a type of antelope, and an ostrich over by the green truck. Now those lions will sleep about 16 to 20 hours a day. I have a cat at home that does that too. It's the perk of being an apex predator. Now when they wake up, if they don't know where one another is, they may announce where their position is by roaring to search for one another. Their roars can be heard from up to 5 miles away. So you might even hear roaring when you're walking around the park later. Now it looks like there's some warthogs up ahead, about 3 of them in the area. If you look in the trenches just below, you'll see some holes which are burrow nests that warthogs will make with their razor-sharp tusks. But they work smart, not hard, so if there is already a burrow nest created by another burrowing species, they'll steal it instead of making their own. Now, warthogs are related to domesticated pigs, large difference being the fact that warthogs have razor-sharp tusks. I grew up in a farm school. The domesticated pigs didn't have tusks. Now there's that bontebok again to our right who has a chestnut color on their throat, the glossy and a purple. And you might see the ostrich over there by the truck still. But those eggs on the ground is a nest of ostrich eggs. Yes, those are real. Ostrich is there.
Yeah.
We leave them in their natural habitats. Now, those eggs are very durable though. I weigh about a couple 100 pounds, just to give you an idea with what I'm about to tell you, but I could stand on one and the shell wouldn't even crack. Those shells are naturally as hard as concrete. And one of them is the equivalent weight to 2 dozen chicken eggs, which is 24 eggs if anybody didn't want to do the math. Now, ostriches don't fly. Now they run, and they change directions when running with their wings. Helps keep them balanced and whatnot, because they can run about 40 miles an hour if they choose to. Now it looks like we're approaching the Warden's post. The Warden lives harmoniously on the reserve with a domesticated creature known as Nigerian Dwarf Goats.
Look at their goats.
Looks like they were hanging out in front of the hut behind the Jeep over here. The Nigerian Dwarf Goats may look small, but they are fully grown adults. Mostly raised for goat milk, but can be raised to be pets because they're very playful and sociable creatures. Now they help improve the pasture by eating blackberries, weeds, and ivy plants that all the other animals on the reserve won't eat. And they do spend most of their days eating and sleeping, but I mean, who doesn't? Now, since the Warden takes very good care of them, they provide a lot of milk for them to take to the markets, so we can then rely less on animals around the safari. Now, I do have some unfortunate news, folks. We are coming to the end of the tour. Yeah, I know. But if you really enjoyed seeing that experience of the animals up close and want to continue it, I mean, you can always check us out.